Today, the ground itself is the focus, not as a separate subject, as the result of the first function. Because the ground is not something that exists independently of the thinker. The ground is what the thinker's thinking produces, and understanding this precisely changes everything about how you approach the environment you operate from. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 130 of 365, to focus on the world within from the world without. Today's focus, the law of germination, the ground of germination. Pause for a moment. 3 days in, the law of germination has been introduced. The nature of germination has been understood. The two functions of thinking have been established. Today, the ground itself is the focus, not as a separate subject, as the result of the first function. Because the ground is not something that exists independently of the thinker. The ground is what the thinker's thinking produces, and understanding this precisely changes everything about how you approach the environment you operate from. Pause. In the physical world, the farmer does not inherit the ground passively. The farmer chooses it, surveys the land, considers which ground is most fertile, which has the depth the root will need, which is clear of competing growth, which has been prepared or can be prepared. The selection is deliberate because the farmer understands that the ground selected determines the entire quality of what follows. Poor ground chosen means poor development. Fertile ground chosen means full development. The same seed, different ground, entirely different outcomes. The choice of ground is the first and most consequential decision the farmer makes. Pause. Metaphysically, the thinker does the same. The first function of thinking selects the ground. The thoughts you receive, the thoughts you hold within, determine the mind you possess, the environment you are operating from. And just as the farmer does not choose the ground at random, the thinker does not select the ground by accident. The thinker selects the ground through what is recognized, through what thinking is directed toward, through what is held within the mind as real. When thinking is directed from within, when what is recognized is from within, the ground selected is the mind aligned with metaphysical reality, fertile, clear, receptive. The richest environment germination can operate within. Pause. When thinking is directed by what is physically seen, when what is held within the mind is shaped by conditions and appearances, the ground selected is reactive ground, not fertile, not prepared. The environment is determined by what the five senses report, by what is without, by what is already physically expressed, and the germination that operates within reactive ground develops the reactive thought, not the seed from within. The conditions produce more conditions. Effect produces more effect. The environment the thinker selected through reactive thinking produces exactly what that environment is capable of producing. This is why the selection of the ground is not a minor consideration. It is the first function of thinking and the most foundational. Pause. What is fertile ground? In the physical world, fertile ground is loose, rich, clear, and deep, prepared, not compacted by repeated pressure, not occupied by competing roots, not hardened by neglect. The fertile metaphysical ground is the same, a mind that is still, not agitated by what is without, a mind that is clear, not occupied by every thought the five senses produce, a mind that is open, not hardened by persistent doubt or reactive habit, a mind that is deep, operating from within, not skimming the surface of what is physically seen. This is the fertile ground the thinker selects when thinking is directed from within. Pause. And here is the precision that the first function gives you. The ground is not fixed. You select it in every moment. Every act of thinking directed from within is an act of selecting fertile ground. Every return within after a period of reactive thinking is an act of reselecting the fertile environment. The morning practice is the most deliberate and complete act of ground selection before conditions have spoken, before the five senses have set the agenda. You still the mind, you return within, you select the fertile environment. This is the first function performed at its most complete, and every subsequent return within throughout the day is the first function maintaining the selection. Pause. The ground of germination is therefore always yours to determine, not given to you by circumstances, not dictated by what the physical world is currently expressing, not inherited from yesterday's conditions, selected by you through the thinking you direct, through the environment you choose to operate from. The thinker who understands this understands that the quality of development available to them is not determined by what is without. It is determined by the ground they select, and the ground they select is determined by the thinking they sustain. This is the authority the first function gives. This is the authority you have. Not doubtfulness, not struggle, not force. You are not pushing the seed, not pressure. You are not trying to make it happen, but steadfastness, focused. Remain aligned with what is within. Do not be moved by what is physically seen, because what is physically seen is always secondary to what is unfolding. Now, the affirmation for day 130. Pause for a moment. I select the ground of my germination through the thinking I direct, through the environment I choose to operate from. I do not accept the ground that conditions would give me. I select from within. I choose the fertile mind, still, clear, open, aligned with what is within. This is the ground in which my seed exists. This is the environment in which my germination operates. I select it each morning. I maintain it through the day, and in fertile ground, with focused thinking upon the seed, what is within me develops fully, and what develops fully must physically express. Remember, by design, by focus.